Hi everyone, it's me, and I'm back with this week's episode of my Best Vintage Life podcast. My name is Bridget Morawski, and this is my co-host Art Bazarkanian, and we are here with a fun-filled episode this week because we are allowing Art to tell us some amazing stories. I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Some of them are inappropriate, but it is what it is.
I haven't even told you the good ones yet.
Oh, God. All right. Well, hey, if you're offended, you don't have to listen, I guess, right?
Yeah, turn it off. You have that choice.
Yeah.
I cannot reach and turn it back on.
Okay.
You
I'm just going to quick do our show notes
you.
before we get into your great stories. I'll do them really quick. If you have any questions, wholesale order questions, podcast questions, concerns, email us admin at mybestvintagelifepodcast.com, admin at mybestvintagelifepodcast.com. We have social media accounts, TikTok and Instagram. Follow along on there. Lots of great free content for you to enjoy. Is it the birds?
The bird is sitting on a fucking owl.
No, it's not.
It is.
Art put one of those owls on top of his SUV to scare this bird that's been shitting on his car away, and now the bird's sitting on the owl.
He's sitting on the owl. I'm shooting him.
No.
Scaring him.
Our website is My Best Vintage
Does
Life
anybody
Podcast.
have a falcon I can hire?
www.mybestvintagelifepodcast.com for our website. You can sign up there. We have a great newsletter that goes out once a month for vintage resellers. Very concise and fun. You can purchase mentor sessions there. You can purchase a 1, 3, or 6 session package. That is for video call, one-on-one mentoring sessions with me. If you want to take advantage of that, now is a great time, especially if you're looking to build your business or get some extra help with your resale business. You can shop there. I just sourced some new fun vintage fashion books. Excited about that. I'll be adding those to the website, and our wholesale FAQs are there. If you have any questions about purchasing vintage wholesale through us, please thoroughly read those before you reach out. And don't forget to rate and review us. You can do so on the Apple Podcast app or via Pod Chaser. So 2 options for you there. We love getting reviews. Reviews put us out there for other people to find us. So if you found us beneficial or if you've learned from us, somebody else may have the opportunity to do so from you writing a great review. It's all about the algorithms, my friends. And obsession at the moment. Do you have one, Art?
No.
I got myself a facial steamer.
That's nice.
It's been a treat yourself month for me.
You've been looking a lot younger.
Well,
So it's the steamer?
okay, it's the steamer because...
I mean, you look like you're 13.
I
You went from
didn't-
19 to 13.
Well, I didn't
Scary.
realize living in such a dry, arid climate, what that does to your skin. I mean, I know it makes
What?
your skin dry,
Have you not seen me?
but I didn't know what it could do for like wrinkles. And it's unreal, like how like my fine lines and wrinkles disappear with the facial steamer. And I'll be honest with you, it's like one of the top rated ones. It was $50.
That's it?
$50, yeah. if you-
$50 to look 13.
I mean, I refuse to do Botox or anything like that. I'm against those sorts of things. If you do that, no judgment, just not my cup of tea. So I had to find a cheaper, more non-evasive, invasive way.
Invasive.
Yeah. Evasive would be running away.
Like me.
Yeah. So I love my facial steamer. If you're looking to look a little younger and treat yourself, have a little spa day, it takes like 5 minutes and you can look 5 years younger. So maybe even 10, depending on what kind of palette you're starting with. I'm not making any promises. So,
I'll settle for like looking like last year.
okay, that's fair. So we do have 2 ad reads, which I'll come back to later, and a new patron, which I'll come back to later. So Art, why don't you tell a few stories and then we'll stop for our first ad.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, and by the way, Art's birthday is this Monday, the 18th. So please wish him well and wish him a happy birthday if you have the chance.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you get any nice birthday gifts?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've gotten a couple of very nice things.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And those 2 things being from you, which are very much appreciated.
Well,
and
last
love
year
them.
I was very late with Art's birthday gift. So this year I made a promise that I'd be 2 weeks early. So I gave him 2 gifts spaced out. So
Yeah. Beautiful stuff. Every time now I look at my new watch,
yeah.
I think of you saying, "Where are you? We need to do this. We
That's
need
right.
to do that." Yeah.
Be on time.
Be on time. All right. So there was so many to choose from. So I started to think the things that still make me laugh, sometimes they just pop in my head and I just lose it. So I thought, okay, those would be the ones. And some of them are incredibly subjective. So if you don't find them funny, too bad. Try really
Well,
hard.
and some of them you need a visual with too.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay.
I
So
see
the
your
very
list. The first one you need the visual, but
so you just work with me here. You need to conceptualize. All right. So we're boarding up. Me and my brother. In the old days before we had kids, we used to do a lot of buying trips, and plus, as you know, Rafi had the privilege and luxury of living in different cities around the country. Well, I was always stuck in California. He got to live in Seattle, Philadelphia, Atlanta. So that's pretty much, almost every corner of the States, which was great.
yeah.
So this was a time where we were flying back to Atlanta because after Rolf moved back to California, he still had connections there. So we were flying there. So we had flown in, done our thing, and now we're heading back. And a lot of times we couldn't get seats next to each other because it was weird. So he's one row behind me, and I'm in the aisle seat, and then there's a guy next to me in the other aisle seat, and this gentleman was very stocky, very built like a tank, and he was wearing flip-flops, and I looked over there, and I had never seen a big toe this big, right? I mean, it was massive. So,
Like how big? Give us a visual.
oh, my brother gave me the visual.
So like at the size of a flip phone? Like that's what I'm thinking.
No, bigger.
No.
No, it's like the size of a dog's head, small dog's head.
So was it long or wide or both?
Massive.
Massive.
Like, yeah. So he unbuckles his seat.
Your brother.
My brother. Mm-hmm. And he gets down on his knees behind the guy, and he grabs his wrist, and he wiggles his wrist left to right and puts it next to this big ass flip flop.
Was
toe.
the guy sleeping?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. And he said, I can't even, I'm looking down and he's laughing and I'm laughing. And I'm like, man, stop. And it was just big, right? I'm like, man, that's a real toe. So ever since then, he just grabs his wrist and wiggles it side to side, and we both just lose it.
So the story of the airline big toe.
Airline big toe. So we're staying in Atlanta. So when he was living in Atlanta,
Is this the same trip or
no,
is this
different time.
Okay.
Now this was maybe a couple of years prior. So he was living in Atlanta, and he started, he's a very social person if you've had the luxury of meeting him, and he loves to talk. And when he would buy from people, he's one of those people that would dig a little, like, hey, where'd you get this? Do you have more? Do you have this? And so he would make relationships based on the fact that he can go to the same people and get things, and he created his own network in Atlanta. Well, two gentlemen, amazing guys. I've had the privilege of meeting them, Sam and Vincent. They were Nigerians, and they were selling in flea markets in Atlanta. And so he had only just met with them at the flea markets. So he's like, hey, they call him and say, hey, Rafi, we have very good things. Can we meet? And he's like, yeah, but my brother's coming into town, so maybe it'd be good for him to come with us. And they had some really good vintage pieces. And so he's like, hey, we're going to meet these guys at 1 o'clock at night. I said, what?
1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, why? Do they have to go to work? He's like, no, I've never met them other than at the flea market, so I figured I'd try to scare them and make them think like it's so we're meeting two Nigerian guys underneath an underpass that was convenient to where they lived and where he lived at 1 o'clock in the morning to look at vintage denim. And these guys, so we got there before them, and we're waiting. I'm like, I don't understand this, Ralph. He's like, well, I've never met them anywhere other than the flea market, so I just wanted to see if I could scare them a little bit to think like this guy's crazy. I'm like, whatever. So these two big Nigerians, big guys,
Yeah.
they get out of the car and they're like, Rafi, why are we doing this, man? My wife is worried. Like, what kind of person wants to meet at 1 o'clock in the morning? They're going to take your stuff. He's like, man, I was scared of you guys. And we all just started laughing. And next thing you know, we're at the Waffle House eating at 2 o'clock in the morning, laughing our asses off. And so we did do the buy. And the best part was we taught those guys about the Rose Bowl. So when Roth left, he's like, hey, man, you guys got to just come to the Rose Bowl. And so it was nice to see that, you know, not only were we able to buy from them, but at the same time, we helped them grow their business. And they ended up coming to the Rose Bowl. And every time, hey, 1 o'clock meeting? I'm like, nah, we're good. But it was so funny because, I mean, they literally just broke down as soon as like, Ruffy, why 1 o'clock, man?
Your brother has such an imagination.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I mean,
the kid slept with a bat and a machete.
Well,
Yeah. That wasn't because of Lebanon.
Oh.
That was the shoes. He slept with shoes for a long time because of the bombings in Lebanon when we were kids.
Well, actually, they say in California you should have shoes next to your bed in case there's an earthquake.
That's great.
Yeah.
But no, the machete and the bat was because of all the karate movies and all the weird movies he would watch that I could not watch. You know me, I don't like scary movies.
No, I know.
Oh, he's too much.
So the 1 o'clock deal.
Yeah, with the vintage Nigerian dealers. Vincent and Sam, great guys.
Do you want to do an ad read or do you want to do another story?
It's up to you.
How many stories do you have?
I have a lot.
Okay. Well, I'll do an ad read.
Okay.
We have a new ad read. This is from our patron and longtime supporter, Chantel. So excited to have her on at the ad level. Thank you, Chantel, for your patronage. As always, we appreciate it. So, I'm going to go ahead and read her ad for her business.
I'm very impressed with her growth.
Oh, yeah.
I drop in on those meetings you guys have sometimes and listen in. And
Yeah. She's very dedicated and focused.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Let me take a sip here before I do it. All right. Elwood Vintage was opened in 2016 with a dream and 3 t-shirts. 6 years later, Elwood Vintage has the perfect piece for every occasion. Put on an Elwood Vintage tee and hear the loud guitars screaming, feel the drums beating, and you singing your heart out at your favorite 80s rock concert. We have that butter soft biker tee that will take you back to your first motorcycle ride with the wind in your hair and 0 F's given. Visit elwoodvintage.com. Don't forget about that perfect crisp pair of vintage jeans to jump into in the morning. When you buy vintage, you are buying more than the clothes. You're buying the memory and the good vibes that come. Elwood Vintage. Wear them till they melt off.
You know, I've seen her site and I've seen her stuff. If she was in LA, she would kill it. She would absolutely kill it because the way she's curated it, it's like the best Harley t-shirts.
Yes, she's found her niche. Harley, band, tees, denim,
the best
lots of
rock
good stuff.
tees, and I think it's priced fair.
Yeah.
You know, and then she has a great taste in denim. So, way to go, Chantel.
Yeah, thank you, Chantel. So check out elwoodvintage.com. Okay, do you want to do another story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So, when we had our warehouse in Vernon, which was the very first time I met you, that warehouse.
Yeah,
So,
8 years ago.
Yeah, where we didn't have a restroom that was accessible.
Yeah.
So we had a porta potty out back, and you know we didn't have our big RV yet. Mm-hmm. And so my brother was like, "Hey man, I think it'd be good to get an RV." I said, "Yeah, that's cool." He's like, so he was kind of shopping around, but at the same time, he didn't want to pay too much then. So my cousin Harry, he's infamous for a lot of different things. He's like, yo, Artie, check it out. And he grew up in a different part of Los Angeles. So he had I would say a San Gabriel area accent.
San Gabriel?
San Gabriel accent.
What, like East LA?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people think he's Mexican.
I knew where you were going with that.
Yo, Artie, check it out. Yeah. So he does rims, tires, all that. He's been in that game. He deals with a lot of celebrities, rappers, and
cool.
So, customizing their cars. So anyway, he's like, yeah, I can get an RV for you guys. And so he calls him up on a Saturday. He's like, Ralph, I've got an RV. It's $500. It runs. It runs. This guy's like, you guys can pay him. I'll drive down with him. Long story short, he shows up with this broken down 1970s RV that had no brakes. And the guy inside was a tweaker, and he showed up with his girlfriend. The inside of the RV was filled with Sudafed packets.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? So I'm looking at him like, you dumb ass.
Did he drive it there, or
He
the
drove
tweaker?
it.
And the tweaker was inside?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
Jesus.
tweaker and his girlfriend. So I'm like, we're like trying to make polite conversation. I'm like, is this yours? Do you have title? Like, not trying to say he stole it. And my brother is just like, Harry, what do you think? Oh, well, we could make it work. You know, we could just rip out the carpet. I said,
Well,
Rob,
but people are living in here.
I said, these people have been in here doing drugs, man. What's wrong with you? Don't you understand what the freaking Sudafed is? And he had no clue that people bought, you know, for the
What the
meth.
fuck? What do you think? They
Right.
had like really bad allergies or something?
Right? I mean, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of boxes,
Jesus.
right?
It's like Breaking Bad. I know you've never seen it,
So-
but you know the Winnebago and making drugs in the Winnebago.
Okay,
and-
well, this was that thing, I guess. And so anyway, he still buys it. It was $500. So the girlfriend, she's like, you guys have a lot of clothes, like talking real fast. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, we have clothes. It's like, I could really use some clothes. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, you know, is there something you need? I'm like, well, I could use a sweater and a shirt, and just talking real fast. I'm like, okay. So my brother comes and he's like, hey, my brother said that you needed some clothes. He's like, oh, here's a sweatshirt, and he's trying to be nice, give her some stuff. Yeah. He goes, oh, thank you so much. I feel like I need to give you something. And I'm standing there, right? And he's like, oh, no, it's free. Don't worry about it. And she whipped out her tit and squirted him.
No.
Swear. Right?
No.
I'm not even kidding.
No.
I'm not even kidding. And his face looked like, what the fuck just happened?
Squirted him?
She was lactating. So I'm like,
That's what's the scary part.
Right.
She's fucking lactating.
right. And I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, I'm good. And he turned around. He turned around, walked away, and went and washed his face in that pump.
Oh my God. I'd be fucking, that's bodily fluids, man.
Yeah, and I can't stop laughing because I've
was
never
your
seen shit
cousin?
like that in my life. My cousin was talking to the tweaker guy.
Oh no.
And and this is on a Saturday when I get ready to pack up for the Rose Bowl. So I don't know if you remember where Ralph walked you to the bathrooms. You have to walk through that gate.
It was another business.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I was right there at that dock, loading up the
Like
those
where your
racks,
dad
the
would
rolling
sit.
rack. Exactly. I was rolling up, doing all the rolling racks, and she thought that somehow a squirt of some milk was equivalent to getting some free shit. And my brother goes to he goes, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you that you would bring these people here?
Yeah, like
He's
then what do you
hey.
do with them?
He's like, hey, that's his girlfriend, man. Try to be respectful. And I'm like, so I go back. I'm like, hey, so how long you guys been together? Oh, I just met him at the gas station when he was waiting for your So she wasn't his girlfriend. She had just picked her up at a gas station and brought them to our warehouse. Oh, let me tell you how.
So what happened to them? Did you take them to like a homeless shelter or?
God knows that. Here's your money and adios.
Oh, you gave them the money.
Well, yeah.
Your cousin didn't take
So
the money.
he did buy the RV. Long story. He did buy the RV. Never, ever, ever set foot in it. It was parked out back even when you were there. And then when we moved, we just donated it to give like for scrap.
I thought
Just
you
like-
had another RV there, a nicer one.
Yeah, that was the real nice one.
Oh.
After that nonsense, I'm like, dude,
Well,
I'm
wasn't
not.
there a nice one there when I was there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Okay,
was
so the
like,
bad one was in the back where the porta potty was.
Oh.
In the
I-
back parking lot. Yeah, we took you to the real restroom.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
Oh, LA.
Oh man. But the thing was, meth was new then, so we really didn't know. But I knew, like, hey, that's not,
Yeah.
no es bueno.
Okay.
Yeah, to this day, he's like, man. Oh, the poor guy. Oh, he got sprayed.
Like there was some power behind it.
Yeah, like full.
Oh my God. Okay, well.
All right, I got another one for you.
And no child with them.
No. So I have another one.
Okay.
Okay, so this one, me and Ralph are very competitive, as you probably know, and playing a lot of sports, it does that to you. You know, you always want to win. So we would always try to just, like, if you play something, you play to win. That's the way it should be. You know, depends if you play with people who aren't as good, then you kind of take it easy and don't try to dominate. But anytime we had the opportunity to go and just either play basketball or play volleyball, we would. And one of the times we're like, hey man, let's just take a break for a couple hours and go down to Huntington Beach and play some volleyball. He's like, all right, man, that's cool. And we loved sand and we loved grass volleyball. So we're down there. We you always can pick up a game. So we picked up a game. And we're doing pretty good. And there's some guys that are just amazing. And so we try not to play on those courts. But so you try to match up with people that you can have good rallies with. And there was 2 guys that were like, looked like our level, but weren't. And so we're playing against them. And I was Ralph is very, very good. He can hit with his left hit with his right. He could set. He was very good. Where me, I would, I could dig and I could get some spikes down occasionally.
Yeah.
Well, one of my spikes didn't go down and it hit one of these guys on the side of his face. And I didn't know it. Next thing you know, have you ever seen Space Odyssey?
No.
Okay.
No.
There's like this opening scene where the caveman throws a stick in the air or a club.
Yeah.
And it just spins and spins and spins as it's going up. Amazing Stanley Kubrick shot. And it turns into a satellite.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like evolution. Here, we started here, we end there kind of thing. Well, all of a sudden I see something like that spinning in the air, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? And it was this guy's ear. I knocked his ear off. He had a prosthetic ear, and how the hell was I supposed to know that?
I didn't know they made prosthetic ears.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they have hearing aids and stuff.
Well,
but...
yeah, I didn't know, but and he was just fumbling around, and Ralph's looking at me like, what the fuck just happened? And I'm like, I'm shocked. Like, I've never hit a ball so hard to knock someone's ear off. Like you've always said it in football.
So it just was like, knock his ear off. So like going through the air.
Slow motion. Just rotating, like perfect. And he's reaching for it, and he grabs it. And I'm like, hey man, I'm so sorry. He's like, how the fuck did you do that? I said, I don't know. I didn't try to. I said, oh.
See, I knew like there's another story with a prosthetic part. I didn't know you had 2. Like, how is that even possible?
I was like, man, I am so. And
so was there a hearing aid in it?
No.
It was just a fake ear.
It was just a hole. He had been burned on that
Oh
side.
God, Art!
I didn't know.
Oh,
I don't know. Like who does that? I didn't try to aim for anything.
Like, what are the chances? What
That's
are the
right.
odds?
That's right. That's what I said. And to this day it stays with me. And I start by laughing my ass off, and then I feel real bad. Then I feel real bad. Then I laugh my ass off again. Then I'm like, fuck.
Well, it's not. It's not funny that he got burned and has a fake ear, but it's funny that the sense that like the odds of you doing that or that happening to anyone are
you don't even understand what a horrible shot it had to be to do that. It wasn't like a great shot, and he happened to be.
So you hit from this angle, and it hit his this ear.
But to make it to flick like that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you hit it a certain way, it's just going to drop.
I mean, I played volleyball. That's one hell of a spike.
Yeah. But, I'm kind of a strong guy.
Well, yeah. I mean,
especially back then, But it's the angle that it had to hit to cause it to go up and spin. So that's what I'm like, I'm curious about physics. I'm like, wow, that was a 1 in a million shot. I mean, you couldn't even do that with a BB gun.
Oh, my God.
With a scope. So,
wow.
Yeah. So that was all
right.
To this day, Ralph's like, man, we always say, who's a bigger dick? Well, you knocked some guy's ear off. I said, oh yeah, well you.
Yeah, well,
next story.
Next story, but we're gonna do an ad read first. We have our ad for 3 Marguerites, resellers of curated finds on eBay. Antique, vintage, contemporary, hand smock dresses on Sunday mornings. Pearl snap shirts in the same dance hall where Grandpa waltzed Granny. A Shetland wool sweater keeps you cozy around the campfire. Chicken soup and the price is right under an heirloom Afghan. We hope you'll find these memories and more in our eBay store. 3 Marguerites gladly ships overseas purchases through the eBay Global Shipping Program. That's ebay.com/str/3 Marguerites. Thank you for your patronage.
Okay. Do you want a Rose Bowl story, or do
Feeling
you
like
want
Fraser Crane doing the ads. I love it.
Yeah. You're good at it.
The Rose Bowl story?
Yeah, I'll give you. Well, there's so many, but how about a Rose Bowl story?
Yeah, I have to use the restroom.
Okay.
You go ahead.
There's a couple months at the Rose Bowl that, it seems like it was always inevitable that it was going to rain. So you didn't want to overpack because it's a kind of a pain to have wet stuff, and you don't know what the turnout's going to be because, the Japanese will definitely go even if it rains because they think they're going to get deals. And most of the time you would, because you're like, okay, for a lot of people, it was the only time during the month to be able to sell. So the turnover, you got to make your money. So there was this one Rose Bowl, and me and Roth had just had a great week at the warehouse selling, and we're like, hey, do you really want to do the Rose Bowl? He's like, no, man, I'm just not up for it. I said, well, you know what? I've got an idea. I'm not going to overpack. I'm just going to take 1 row of racks, which our truck would hold normally anywhere from, depending on how I did it, 12 to 10, depending how full each rack was, because you can do 2 rows of 5 or 2 rows of 6 when you're putting them into a bobtail. So I only did 1 row because it's super easy. I can keep it under the tarp, and it was super easy for me to unload because I would use a strap and then lift gate, bring it down by myself. So I'm like, all right. So I had all this space, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then usually I would have if Roth wouldn't come with me, I would take one of our normal Japanese clients who'd want to go in early, because at the Rose Bowl, you had the chance of getting in as soon as they opened up at 3, 4, 4:30, depending on when they were ready to let you in. So on this occasion, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? So all these Japanese guys were coming up saying, Atsan, can we go with you? I said, I'm sorry, I have someone. And then, Atsan, I give you $50. I'm like, all right, $50, hop in the back. So this went on for an hour. By the time I was done, I had about 11 to 12 guys in the back of my truck. And I've already made $600. Haven't even gone in yet. My Japanese guy, Masa, is laughing his ass off. Atsan, this is a very good business, better than vintage clothing. I'm like, yeah, man, I got room for 10 more. He's like, no, too much. Danger. So I go in, and it's raining. I barely set up the tarp, and as soon as I open up the back of the thing, these guys just run out of there like they were escaping border patrol or something.
Like immigration's there.
Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious. And sure enough, it rained the whole time. It was like a river, that bridge that you would cross?
Yeah.
That thing was almost to the top.
I didn't realize water actually went under there.
Oh, yeah. That's the runoff from those mountains and the golf course.
Oh, yeah, because that
right
park
there.
And everything is
Exactly.
so hilly.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I had already made $600-700, hadn't sold anything except giving people a ride. I thought it was funny.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Took advantage of a situation and you helped some people out. Maybe they might not have been the most comfortable, but
no, there's plenty of room in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the times I did a half load.
Okay.
So it wasn't 2 full trucks. It was just me doing a half by myself without Roth.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he missed a lot of Rose Bowls for different things, and I would just do them by myself.
Not shocking.
It worked fine. Okay. Another Rose Bowl story, or do you have another ad?
Those are the only 2 ads. I do have a new patron, but we can do that after another story or 2.
So this one is a funny story about there was all kinds of characters at the Rose Bowl and all kinds of different people from different places. So there were a notorious group of French brothers who had a famous T-shirt shop on Melrose, and they were a bit abrasive just because I think a lot of it had to do a cultural thing, because I understand it having come from a different place.
You don't say.
Yeah, and it rubbed people wrong, but we got it because we kind of grew up around French people.
Yeah.
We get it.
Right. A lot of French people in Beirut.
Right. I mean, it's a French province for a while, right?
Right.
So we were used to it. So they come over, and we could hear some yelling at Francisco's booth, our friend who we used to be neighbors with, but we outgrew
talked
the
about
area.
Francisco before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He was the...
He works hard for the money.
No,
He was Agador.
Agador. Spartacus.
At the Rose Bowl, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he did not like them because he thought they were rude and that they were crude and that they would, flaunt their wealth and did not want to pay for things. So they come over to us and saying, "Hey, your friend, he doesn't want to sell us these monkeys."
What did Francisco sell mostly? House, like, decor?
No, decor and designer clothes and lots of dresses and really cute stuff. He had an amazing taste. So he was the original curator of, beautiful booth. His booth set up. You walked in, it was like a shop. He always had a boa that by the end of the day, he would be wearing.
Like a feather boa.
A feather boa,
Gotcha.
yeah. Sometimes that would be the only thing he'd have on, But, so on this
Did
occasion.
he have a good body?
I think so for someone at that time, for his age, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. He was.
I can see it. Like, I'm picturing him in my head.
Yeah, but he had that like little stomach distension thing where it's like the weird curve where his butt stuck out and his stomach was like, hey.
He had like a pooch.
Oh, like that guy skating.
Yeah, like a pooch.
Yeah. Do you remember that guy skating
Yes.
on the skateboard?
Yeah.
Or the roller skater going by?
Yeah.
That guy.
Little pooch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they come over and it's like, hey, and Ross like, hey man, that's not like him. Francisco's a really nice guy. Yeah, but he doesn't want to sell us those monkeys. I said, well, how much do you want to pay? He's like, we told him $100.
What were they made out of?
Oh, well, I'll get to that.
Okay.
So Ralph's like, hey man, I'll do it. He's a nice guy. We're friends with him. He's like, oh, thank you, Rafi. So Ralph goes over there. Hey, Francisco, how much are the monkeys? It's like, they're $100. And okay, here you go. Here's $100. And he takes them. And he gives them to the French guys. They say thank you. And that's the end of it. Everybody's happy, right?
Yeah.
No. 20 minutes later, Francisco comes. Juno, I need to tell you something. I'm very offended. And Ralph's like, what do you mean? He goes, those weren't monkeys. Those were two sleeping Mexicans.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And Ralph's like, what? He's like, hey, man.
Siesta statues.
I don't know what they are.
So, I mean, they're not very nice statues, but it's a Mexican guy with his head down and he's taking
that's
a
it.
nap.
Exactly.
But my question is, here's the thing. Like, I've never not known what those are. Were they made out of some odd material? Like, were they marble? Were they ceramic? Because the ceramic ones, you can tell what they are.
So
they were probably being dicks.
Yes, but at the same time, I didn't get a good look at them. But if you've been to the border and you've bought stuff, the quality of the production. There was a time where they had Bart Simpson. Bart Simpson was darker than me. I was darker than the Michael Jordan ones. So the quality wasn't there. I'm not even kidding you.
But I wouldn't think that Francisco would be selling like cheapy stuff based off of what you said about his taste.
Yeah, but at the same time, no. See, that's the thing. They weren't at that time. They were good. Now they're horrible. The quality has changed quite a bit. This is early 2000s, so you're talking about 20. Yeah. So my brother's like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't even look at him. I just handed it to him. Yeah, he just thought, because there was those monkeys. You remember the monkeys? Hear no evil, see no evil?
Yeah, of course. There's a lot of statues.
So we've seen those, but at the same time, and then he goes, okay, I believe you. You guys are good.
Yeah, there's just like this weird, people had them where I grew up, and there were no Mexican people where I grew up, but people would have the Mexican guy with the donkey, and like you'd put flowers in the back of the donkey's cart. There was the Mexican guy taking a siesta, and then there were the really
apple ones.
Well, I was gonna say the really racist like mammy statues, like the little black kid with like a big piece of watermelon and stuff like that.
They had those here too.
Oh, really? I didn't know if it was like an East Coast thing or what. Because thank God I don't see them here. But
no, I think people have gotten aware. So like that's something that should not be sold.
Yeah.
I'm 100% behind that.
You could put a bird or a turtle statue in your yard. Why do you need that?
Yeah, you don't need that.
No.
Right.
Oh, gosh. Well, poor Francisco. At least he got some money, I guess.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've had so many funny interactions with him, so he knew how we are, so he realized, okay, these guys aren't like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the patron read if you don't mind.
No, go ahead. I'm going to.
So we have one new patron, and it's really cool. This is actually a patron that doesn't sell vintage.
Oh, wow.
I think probably the first time that's ever happened, and I'm sure they probably appreciate vintage because they're listening to the podcast, but not outright selling it, at least that I can see. They do a lot of custom-based signage, really pretty signs for like events and restaurants and stuff. They have an Etsy shop, and they are based out of Sacramento, and the Instagram account is at Honey and Heart CC, and the business is Honey and Heart. I believe it's custom creations or custom. I didn't see the CC. I was trying to read it on their logo, but it's really cool. Like if you're looking for some unique signage for your business, your vintage business, maybe they can hook you up. I really like some of the stuff that they do. I think I saw something, it was like a drink menu, like an alcoholic beverage menu or something like that. So I thought that was really cool. But they are a new patron. So thank you so much, Honey and Heart CC, for your patronage. And at this moment, they do not have a burning question for Art. They hit pause on that and they're going to come back. So no burning question there at the moment, but we thank you for your patronage. And before I go back into Art's remaining stories, I'm just going to do our patron program notes. So we have a $5 level, and $5 level is great if you find value in our social media content, if you find value in our newsletter, if you find value in our podcast episodes. It's a nice way to say thank you. Even if you just want to say thank you to Art and I, for years of free content, our time, whatever it may be, people have different reasons for doing it, and I've heard different reasons. But the $5 level includes an on-air shout-out, whether it's for your personal, if you want to do like a personal social media page or your business, whatever one you want. You get to ask Art a burning question, which you don't have to do right away. There's no pressure there. And you get 2 bonus episodes a month, and Art has committed to doing more bonus episodes with me.
He has.
Next week, we're going to do one. Well, Art won't be here, and I will, and we're going to try and do one remotely. So that'll be fun. And our $20 level is strictly an ad level. You get a 30 to 60 second ad twice a month. Keep in mind, we do 2 episodes that are available to the public during the month, and you get an ad read. As long as you want to do it, you can cancel at any time, but it's $20 a month to have your ad read on the show. Great for people who sell both domestically and internationally, because not only do we have a large audience within the United States, but we have a large audience within North America and Europe, Australia, New Zealand, etc. And then the $25 level is all the benefits of the $5 level. And you get to participate in our text mentoring via the Nudge app. You get to ask 2 burning questions a month based off of questions you may have about your vintage business. And it's really great for people who aren't ready to commit to one-on-one video sessions yet. It's a more affordable way to do it. And you also get access to the bonus episodes. You get a burning question for Art and an on-air shout out with the $25 level. And there are spots open there. So patron.podbean.com/mybestvintagelifepodcast to join the patron program. And once again, our mentor sessions are now available through our website and are no longer part of the patron program. That's all I have for patron this week. Art, it's back to you.
Well, thank you. So we're going to go to a Rose Bowl warehouse event. So at the Rose Bowl, we made a lot of friends. And this particular friend of ours, our father actually introduced him because he met our dad at a Las Vegas swap meet.
Okay.
And then he told us about him, and then so he found us when he came to sell at the Rose Bowl. And he was directly across from us for about 5 to 8 years. And he started out a real nice, humble guy. Mm-hmm. And eventually the fame overtook the cool, nice guy. The ego, yeah, definitely. I mean, he even got to the point where he wanted to be referred to as Indiana Jeans.
Oh.
Yeah, instead of the vintage archaeologist. Every name you could think of. So he even had a show on TV for a while. So, but before all that, he was a really good dude. And we enjoyed hanging out with him, and he was very competitive, and he'd always want to tell us that he played football in high school, he played hockey, he did this, and he was a real tough guy. So, the Baz brothers aren't going to stand for that. We're going to show you.
Oh, you
we
and
do
your brother
that too.
both played football as well.
Right. And we like to have fun. I mean, we at the Rose Bowl, we took out ping pong tables. We brought footballs. We brought Frisbees. We just, sometimes there's like a lull. And in order to get your brain and body going, you need to kind of run around and do something, just change it up a bit. That's why I don't have a store. I can't just sit there. I have to be doing something.
Not that people who have stores just
no,
sit
it's
there.
everybody's different personalities.
It's not geared for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I chose this. Yeah. Don't try to fit into something that's not you. Obviously not. So he's like, so we were throwing a football. He's like, I could throw a football. I'm like, okay, do you want to play catch? He goes, yeah. And my brother's like, an Armenian tells me, like, watch this. And so we used to play this game. It's kind of like a version of chicken where you're about 20 yards apart and you chuck the football at each other as hard as you can. Then you take a step in after you catch it. Loser is the one who drops it. So Raf decides to play catch, and he's throwing it in, and his throws are pretty weak. And so he after like 3, he's like, and then in Armenian he winks at me, and he throws the football perfectly right at his chest, and it goes right through his hands and hits him right in his chest. He drops straight to his knees, and he's like, and he's like, hey man, are you all right? I didn't mean to throw it so hard. He's like, hey, you trying to kill me?
What position did your brother play?
He played fullback and linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas I played, I was a defensive lineman, linebacker, guard, and I did all the kicking too. So it was a lot of fun. So we're not quarterbacks, but we're athletes.
Yeah.
You should be able to throw a football, right? And it just went and it literally, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, I hope it didn't collapse his lung, because it was like, air was just rushing out of him, and he's gasping. So you would think that would be the end of it, right? So he's all...
Did it collapse his lung?
Pretty close to it. Yeah, he was okay after like 10 minutes after getting him up. So another time, sometimes he'd like to come to our warehouse first prior to setting up so he would come on a Saturday. And so this was maybe 3 to 6 months after. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you got lucky with that football. He's like, come on, man, just
let
he's
it
like,
go.
yeah, just let it go. He's like, no, you guys are sissies because you don't play hockey. I'm like, well, we weren't exposed. There wasn't much ice rinks in Lebanon. We're busy dodging hand grenades, you fool. And here, it wasn't something that we could get into.
Not a big sport in California.
At that time, no. This is pre-Gretzky coming to the Kings. Yeah. So, we're like, okay, what do you guys do in hockey? Ralph says, well, you shoulder up, you hip check. He's like, you want to shoulder up? He's like, yeah. So what? He goes, so you basically hit shoulders against each other, right?
I know.
Okay. So Ralph and him hit shoulders. Next thing you know, he dislocates a shoulder.
Oh my God.
He knocked the shit out of his shoulder. Ralph's solid. No, don't be fooled by his, even though I'm
he's in
bigger.
really good shape now.
Yeah. So, but he's a solid guy. I mean, he uses that nose like a battering ram. So he shouldered, and he's like, ah! And so I'd already finished chiropractic school. I go over there and palpate it. I'm like, hey, dude, your shoulder's dislocated. Oh, pop it in. I'm like, all right. So I take him to the wall and put it and just pop it right back in. And I'm like, are you done?
Talk about a glutton for punishment, masochist.
Oh, you name it. I mean, he was always trying to come up with ways to beat us at something, and he just couldn't do it. And that's what made it funny, because it drove him nuts. You guys got to come out to Colorado and skate. I'm like, no, we don't need to skate.
He thinks he can skate?
Oh, he can skate. Yeah, he's a good hockey player.
Blade or rollerblade?
Skate.
Roller or blades?
Blades.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's originally from New Jersey.
I'll show him up on the blades.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. But it's just, it's just funny.
New Jersey.
Deep down, when you get past all the fluff he's created for himself, he's a good dude. Good family man.
All right. Well, is that it for your stories?
I have one more.
What is it?
We'll end with, okay. So when you're in industrial areas, you're gonna see things and you're gonna see different people with different lines of work and in industrial areas. So at our different locations at our warehouses, Ralph and I have seen different things. Like at my Fresno location downtown, one time there's a guy pulled up into my driveway and was wanting to go looking through my trash to see what he can scrap for scrap metal. So I came out and just to let him know, like, hey, yeah, no problem. But then I noticed something in his truck that caught my eye.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, what are you doing with that? He goes, well, I'm going to scrap it for the aluminum. I said, how about I give you $5 for this and you can help yourself to whatever you want. He's like, okay. And so what it was the actual old scoreboard from where the Fresno Giants played at a different park. And the Fresno Giants were the AAA minor league team for the San Francisco Giants.
Oh, okay.
So I still have that. That's the thing that hangs above the electrical cabinet.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got that from a guy who was about to scrap it for the aluminum.
Wow.
Yeah. So another time down at our Sun Valley warehouse, one of our earliest warehouses, super small, it was barely 4,000 square feet. It was tiny, right? I wasn't there. My brother sees a guy with a bunch of metal cages in the back of a flatbed truck, and he kind of waves them down. And the cages, we needed like sorting bins, but these were intended for like heavy metal parts and engines because they were very industrial. And it's a time where the industrial stuff was really cool. It was I want to say this has got to be 99 or 2001-ish, around that time. So that's the whole galvanized metal, barns and all that. So he's like, oh, this would be great sorting bins. So my dad's there with him, and this guy gets out, Ralph's describing it, my dad's describing it, he's like hopping along, and he's like, yeah, I'm selling these. They're $50 each. He's like, all right, well, how much for 10 of them? He's like, so they negotiated a deal. So these things are heavy, and so they're trying to get them down. And he's like, hey, man, do you have a forklift you can get? He goes, oh, no, you don't need the forklift. We can just grab them and do them. Right?
God.
Next thing you know, they get the first one down, no problem. Get it out of the way. And my dad's out there with them. As soon as they get the second one, the guy twists a little bit, or Roth moves too fast, and he, out of nowhere, he lost his leg.
Oh, the leg guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the sandwich guy.
It's the same guy.
Oh, but okay.
Okay.
All right.
So his leg, and he falls, and his leg is stuck with the cage. It attached. He had a metal leg underneath his pants, and somehow it's snagged. And Roth's just freaking out. He's telling me, my dad's like, hey,
did he
trying
fall?
to help him. Oh, he fell. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. But he's, trying to do the whole thing with like the ear guy. Oh, like pretend like it never happened. Nobody saw it kind of thing. And I mean, I wish I was there for it. But Roth describing it, he's like, man, it took every ounce not to just lose it. Like, I didn't think. I was thinking he had a bad hip. I didn't know he had a missing leg.
Oh, didn't your brother put like pressure on him or something? Or was it because they were lifting the cage?
They were lifting the cage, and yeah.
I always thought it's because your brother leaned on him. No. But your dad made him.
Yeah. So my dad's like feeling bad. So they get the stuff. He's like, yells at my brother, like, why didn't you get the forklift off? Why are you being lazy? You should have helped this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't know he didn't have a leg. And so, yeah. So my dad wants to always like be a concierge of sorts. He likes to give people baklava or whatever. So he tells him, hey, buddy, are you hungry? Yes, sir. He's like, I make you a very good sandwich. So it was one of the rare occasions there wasn't any leftovers from my mom, or there wasn't any lunch meats, because we always had lunch meats, at least some mortadella, cheese, something, so you could always make a quick sandwich. So there's nothing. So he makes him a mustard and pickle sandwich.
Oh, God.
And just on a pocket bread. Not even like, Wonder Bread or anything.
Pickles.
Mustard and pickles.
That sounds like your nightmare.
Oh, my God. And when Ralph told me, I'm like, did this guy throw up? He just thought that it was the craziest thing. And he actually came back like probably 3 or 4 times bringing stuff to him. Aww. Now that he knew, yeah.
You want to tell the goats?
No, the goats, everybody knows the goats.
No. Chris claims you never did the goats. So let's finish with the goats.
All right. The goats. On one of our trips, famous trips down to the south where we hit Alabama, Tennessee, and all that, we rented a minivan, and planning a trip with my brother would absolutely drive Bridget crazy.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Because there is no planning. There is absolutely no planning on this one trip alone. I flew in at got in at 1:30 in the morning. He picks me up at the airport, and we drive from Atlanta, drive to Greenville, South Carolina, because there's a flea market in the morning. And, so I'm thinking while we're driving, hey, man, I'm like, are we close? He's like, no, we're about an hour away. I said, okay, so we're going to get a hotel? He's like, oh, no need to get a hotel. We're going to be up in 3 hours anyway. I'm like, so what are we doing? He's like, oh, we'll just sleep in the car. I said, man, I would really like to take in a shower. He's like, oh, we'll be good. Don't worry. So we drive to that place, park at where you're supposed to park, for the swap meet. And I wake up and there's an old man with his pants down, peeing right at the car. Like his back is into me. So I'm like, Jesus, man, you got to wake up to this. I was like, oh, that sucked. So same trip. So now we leave South Carolina, drive down through Georgia, head to Alabama, where Ralph meets one of his guys that he used to buy things at the flea market. Mm-hmm. And this guy was an original black cowboy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he had horses, he had 40 acres, and he had a dog, goats, you name it. But he had cowboy boots for us. So I'm thinking, oh, this guy sells cowboy boots and he's in the business selling stuff. That's how Roth knows him, assuming that's what it is. Next thing you know, we're in his motorhome, going in his closet to get cowboy boots. And I'm telling him in Armenian, did you not ask him if these were his boots? We're buying this man's boots? Or are we, what is wrong with you?
He doesn't have a surplus of boots.
Yeah, we're buying this man's boots.
Aww.
And as we're taking a step, Ralph falls right through the floor.
Jesus.
Right? So I'm like, man, event after event. So we're like, finally, I'm like, all right, thank you. We bought a lot of his boots. And we're about to leave. And then Ralph had, the guy had like maybe 20 or 30 goats. And Ralph had been playing with the goats, but he forgot to lock the door, and they all started coming to him, and they surrounded him.
They were in an enclosure.
And they just surrounded him. And then all of a sudden, the cowboy comes out, and he tells his dog, go get them goats out of there. And the dog went over there and herded those goats. Yeah. It was a red dog, and he put them back in their pen. And Ralph's like, man, this trip is jinx. We need to doomed. Oh, there's like at least 10 other things that happened that trip that were just unreal.
You guys have some of the craziest luck.
Oh, that was the same one. He almost blew himself up at that fireplace in Tennessee.
Yeah, the paint.
The paint, yeah.
Shooting up like a firework.
Oh.
All right. Well, happy birthday, Art. Thanks for sharing your stories with us.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to.
Appreciate it.
Hope you guys were entertained.
Time to eat lunch. In the meantime, stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, be kind.
Don't be basic.
And don't be basic. Bye.